Frida Kahlo is an icon. As an artist, she changed Mexico's culture and left a legacy for creators around the world. Now there's a fight over that legacy playing out in American courts, and it's a particularly poignant time as we mark the 70th anniversary of her death this month. Joining us now to talk about the legal fight, attorney Oscar Gomez. Oscar, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie.
Before we get into the details of the legal fight that's happening, talk a little bit about the legacy that she left behind and the art that she created that really changed the culture of an entire country and arguably the world.
Sure, Katie, and really, it's much more than the art. Frida Kahlo is one of those people whose face has almost become indelible. Kind of like Bob Marley. I think of Che Guevara. You see her face in restaurants, on T-shirts, sort of everywhere. Really, it's sort of like a little bit of she's many things to many people. She's become an icon in the feminist movement. She's sort of become this icon in Mexican culture, and with Mexican influence spreading throughout the world over the last 50, 60 years, she's sort of one of the most recognizable figures from Mexican culture. So her legacy has really expanded tremendously since her death.
The proliferation of her image in all kinds of places, on all kinds of services, kind of part of the center of this lawsuit. So tell us about the meat and potatoes of the case here.
Sure. So kind of at the heart of this is our firm down here in Miami represents the Frida Kahlo family, and really her closest living relatives, her grandniece, who is involved in two of the lawsuits that have been filed against her here in the United States, two of which have been both dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. There's one up on appeal now. But really, the center of this dispute, Katie, when you get sort of just past the legalese of it, is the commercialization of Frida Kahlo's image, sort of how she is going to be presented throughout the world, what her legacy is, what her legacy should be. And on one side, you have a company that is sort of doing everything in their power to commercialize and get profit from Frida Kahlo's legacy. And on the other side, you have the family who kind of, their perspective is that her legacy has to be sort of curated to fit what her values were.
Obviously, we have some sense of how the family sees this, given their willingness to fight this in court. But have you had a chance to ask the family, or do you have any sense of what they think she might have thought about the proliferation of her image and becoming an icon, and then that it has to become this fight that her family has to push forward?
Right. It's complicated. They want her legacy to be an inspirational legacy for artists, for creators, for women, for Mexicans. And they have sought ever since they had her rights, ever since her death. They have sought to do that, to espouse that through different forms that give that sort of feel off. And they've sort of stepped away, or they've wanted to step away from straight commercialization, which is sort of the fight that we're seeing not only in the U.S. Between these two parties, but also we've seen throughout the years, the last 15 years, in Europe and Latin America, various other places throughout the world.
You spoke about it briefly before, but what issue in particular is going up on appeal right now, and where does the appeal stand?
Sure. So here in the U.S., what we're really dealing with is two cases that have been filed against Frida Kahlo's family through her grandniece specifically was a named defendant from Frida Kahlo Corporation on two lawsuits that have both been dismissed by two separate federal judges here in the Southern District of Florida on jurisdictional grounds. The second of those cases is up on appeal now before the 11th Circuit, who has heard oral argument on it and has not ruled. So we're currently awaiting the 11th Circuit's ruling on that second case against the Kahlo family, which was dismissed a couple years ago at the lower court level.
Of course, you can't know for sure, but any sense of how the three-judge panel was leaning after argument?
Well, I mean, Katie, you never know with these things,
Of
and
course.
especially when you're in the thick of the fight, you don't like to comment on the specifics of an appeal that's currently up before the court. So, out of respect to the court, I'll sort of lean back on that one.
Fair enough. We will
But
have to have you back on the show once we get a decision down from the 11th Circuit.
Absolutely,
All right,
absolutely.
Oscar Gomez, thank you so much for joining us tonight.